Hi, this is Linda Humphries, third generation psychic, spiritual healer, minister, channeler, and all around telephone operator. You're asking me what I mean by that. Well, the one day I left an exercise class at the YMCA in Belleville, a little bit mad at a lady that was being passive aggressive with everyone. And I heard God say to me, "Look in your back seat." I looked in my back seat, and there was a young man sitting there, missing an arm and missing a leg. He asked me to please stop his brother from committing suicide. I had no idea who he was talking about. But in my anger, I pulled in crooked to the parking lot at Walmart. When I got out of the car, I apologized to the young man that was parked next to me who was getting out of his vehicle. And as I touched his shoulder to apologize, I felt the despair in that young man. And I knew it was the other young man who had committed suicide's brother. And I immediately told him the message from his brother. I said, "I know you feel alone since your brother committed suicide. And I know you think you're fat and you're sloppy. And nobody will ever date you. Because you've been told that by your dad one too many times. The same as I was told by my dad and my mom that I'd never amount to anything and how fat and sloppy I was. Even when I was anorexic at 136 pounds from 256 pounds. But if you go back to playing rollerblade hockey with your buddies, you'll lose all that weight. You do it all the time anyway. And you help your uncle with his farm, and he's always grateful when you do that. You'll lose your weight." He took one look at me, hugged, picked me up off the ground because he was rather tall and pretty strong. And he said, "How do you know all of this?" And my only explanation was, "I'm a telephone operator, and I kind of cheat when I talk to people because the people on the other side, they get to talk to me through the help of God." And I was very, very happy to deliver this message to you today because I had a really lousy morning watching a lady verbally abuse other people. And now you've made my day feel better. He reached in his pocket and pulled out his wallet. And I said, "If that's to give me money, I don't think so. If that's to give me a card that says thank you for what you're doing and keep it up, that's fine." Same as when I was getting my flyers printed up. And a lady brought in a picture and asked how soon they could have it printed up. And I said, "By the way, you need to tell your husband that his father, who's in the coma, hears every word he says. And he's sorry he didn't know how to give love, but his dad never taught him how to give love. And that he's proud of his son for giving love to his sons. So that chain of not being able to be a loving and giving father has been broken because your husband learned how to give love. And your father-in-law said it's because of you, and he's grateful to have you as a daughter-in-law." The lady looked at me in awe, and she says, "Is he dead? Is that why you're able to communicate with him? I saw your flyer says you're gifted." And I said, "No, he's not dead. He won't go for a few days yet. He's waiting for somebody to get in from another state. But he still wanted me to get the message across to everybody that he's sorry his dad never taught him to be a good dad. I'm amazed at what I do. I'm also amazed at what I do when people are in parties with me. And they booked a party not to talk to the other side, but just to have a reading out of curiosity. It's only going to be $40 a half hour or $75 a half hour if I have to travel way, way away and they can't get me enough readings, but it doesn't matter. Out of curiosity, let's just do it. Or maybe we'll book an hour with her. We'll just see. I traveled up to Springfield, Illinois, hour and a half away from my home. The ladies each said they would pay, definitely, for the travel time. And if it went too long, I could stay the night at the hostess' house. The one lady's twin sister talked to her. I knew nothing. I asked nothing before I do the parties. I do not want to know about a person before I read them. And I said, your twin sister's standing right behind you. She told me this, 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 and this, and this. And I told her all the stuff the twin sister said. The lady said, my twin sister and I didn't get along. When she died, we weren't talking. I said, but she's here today. And she's been watching over you through all of your cancer. And she wants you to know that she doesn't want you to join her. You're to have a fulfilled life and you're to fight and beat this stuff. From across the room flew a hat and it ended up in the middle of the table. That lady stood up, left the room, and went out and talked to her friends. And the relatives are out there. She goes, I don't believe this, but my sister was definitely in the room. She threw her hat in the middle of the table. I know that lady can't be that good as a magician or something, because that hat flew. All I can tell you is it was an honor for me to be able to deliver the message from her twin sister to fight, that she forgave her for this silly argument they had that made them estranged for the years they were estranged. It's an honor for me when your loved ones talk to me. The little things they say, the little things they do are amazing. I had a party in Collinsville, Illinois, where I read for a lady, and I told her about a man with steel-toed shoes that was watching over her and her husband and over their son and blah, 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 blah. I described him to a T what he looked like. She said, well, I don't know who you're talking about. It must be for another lady that's coming in. She said, but everything else you told me was right. My son's definitely doing this. My husband's definitely doing that. Blah, 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 blah. Thank you very much for the reading. I hope whoever's person this is comes through on their reading. I got done with my readings for the evening. I went out to leave, and she's standing there with her husband, standing there with a gift for me, and her husband's standing there with $20. And I said, excuse me, sir, I didn't read you. He goes, you channeled my father, and for channeling, you normally get a lot more money than that. And I said, oh, but it was just part of her reading. But I took it anyway and was very grateful for the tip. And he said he was very grateful for the message, because I talked about a cabin in the woods that had a fireplace in it. And his dad died when he was very young. And one of the last things his father said to him is, I hope in heaven God lets me have a fireplace in my cabin in the woods. And sure enough, that was the trigger that, when she described, made him know it was definitely his father. It's amazing how they communicate with you. Some of them will tell me My best friend Rosie Casatino does 11:11 on the clock when she wants to tell me she's around. 11:11 was her birthday. Sometimes she gives me the smell of roses when she's mad at me, because I'm allergic to roses, but she does it as symbology that Rosie is mad at me. Other times she'll do rosemary when she knows I need protection, healing, or I need to be made aware of somebody lying to me. A lot of people that are very close to you will show up in the sky above you as a star that is red, green, and gold. If you need to ask them a question, if it turns red, that means no, bad idea, bad idea, bad idea, bad idea. If it's green, it means go for it, go for it. If the star doesn't show very much red or very much green, and you're feeling kind of down, and the gold shows, that means that person is very worried that you're being hard on yourself, or somebody is taking advantage of you. It's amazing. Rosie never let me know she was dying of cancer, but she said, if somebody close to you dies, and she gave me that scenario. The one night after she was gone, it was storming like crazy outside, and I had to make a decision on something really, really financially big for me. And I walked out on my front porch and just stood in the rain because it was hot. I didn't care. I was going to bed. I had to change clothes anyway. I looked up in the sky. All of a sudden, the clouds parted, and during a thunderstorm, there was my star, my psychic friend, and it went from green and gold to just green. There was no red at all. So I went ahead and signed those papers. And what was ironic is she was an astrologer, and Mercury was retrograde the day I signed the papers, and everything went through perfectly, and everything was positive. But, as I tell everybody, I heal with stones. Mercury being retrograde is nothing but a big stone in the sky, and I'm telling it, do the reverse of retrograde and give me good luck when I sign these contracts. And I've bought a house. I bought 3 cars, different vehicles when Mercury was retrograde, and I've always had good luck. So I believe I can program Mercury because it's a rock. I don't know that it works for everybody else. But as I said, our relatives show us they're there by sending birds to us that fly, by coins that show up. My one client, her father in a reading to me said he was going to give her something of value she could cash in. She found coins that were antiques, a big roll of them in her house. He wanted to take care of her. Another friend who's like a brother to me, his mother covered him with a cover the one night when he was uncovered, and he could feel her put it on him. His dad kicked one of his girlfriends off a stool because she was spending too long at his workplace. These are all wonderful experiences that show you they're not dead. My great Aunt Julia hates it when I say, oh, dead relatives talk to me for clients. Because the only thing that died was the physical body. The soul is very much alive. The soul is very much around and participating in the lives of the people that they love. My girlfriend was at my house for a meditation class. And I was putting down the president that was in charge when 9/11 happened. And all of a sudden, channeling through me, her mother said, "Tell her not to put down the president. He's the president of the United States. No matter what she thinks of him, she needs to be respectful to him. Tell her that." I came back into my body knowing somebody had taken over my body. And I said, "She also wants you to know that when you were with her, when she was having her coma, that God let her come back into her body to say goodbye to each of you. That's why she woke up that last time, to say, I love you and goodbye." She had already been pulled out of her body. She was just a shell. The machines were keeping her alive. So in that probably not more than 3 minutes time, after the meditation class was over, my friend got to hear her mother speak very clearly to her, because my voice changed. It was not my voice. And I got to explain how her mother's eyes opened up out of a coma, how she talked to them clearly with the tubes all pulled out of her. She was supposed to be left to just go on her own, woke herself wide awake and said goodbye to each of them, and then left. It was such an honor. For I do not think that I got this gift from God to waste it. It's not a dog and pony show. It's not something that I take lightly, because it's an honor. My Aunt Edna had Alzheimer's. It was so hard to watch her not be in her body and not know who we were, and the frustration of her trying to bring herself to the current time. Then one of my regulars, whose father I knew when he was healthy, before the Alzheimer's hit, came and asked me to please explain to her, the same as he wanted me to know, that all of the Alzheimer's people he met on the other side were the same as him. God allows them to live in their past and allows them to go to their past, so they are not in misery in the current life. When they are in misery is when they are trying to connect to the current life. And the chemicals and the triggers that bring them to the current life is someone who's very special to them, or a memory of something very special to them. And then they can stay for a certain period of time. I since have done meditations and prayers about that, and I believe we will come to a time when there may be a cure. That is why I'm a big supporter of the Alzheimer's Association. But it was so important that I know that, because I do read and I do connect people with a lot of the Alzheimer's patients, and that have left, that have passed, and I want them to know that the people did not suffer when they were in their past, because that is the way they were allowed to be. That is why when people say, how do you do this? Is this not physically hard for you? I always answer them, it is very physically and emotionally draining to do this. That is why I have to wind down once I get home from doing it. but it's also very fulfilling because I get to connect people with people who didn't get to say goodbye, who maybe died in a tragic car accident, and the people think that when they burnt, they were inside their bodies, where I get to tell them that Jesus, or God, or an angel, or a relative had removed them from their body and only the body burnt. Those are important things that I do. That is why I say I am the telephone operator. For one of my clients, who was very important to me, she came to me after Rosie died as a client. We were sitting out at Our Lady of the Snows in the church, and all of a sudden, her father was inside my body. And he was circling her hand in circles. And I was outside my body watching this. And this little man said, "Happy birthday." And he rolled his R's. And my body was bent over with real light colored hair. And he talked to her about Mama and about her sister on the other side. It was amazing. And we went to eat, and she thanked me and handed me a $100 bill. And I went to Walmart and got myself a diamond ring because he told me I needed to buy myself something that I've always wanted. And when I was there, he picked out the ring for me. I heard him say, "Linda, you have to have this ring." And I figured it was his way of showing me I had value by doing that. So over the years, I talked to her children from another lifetime, to her parents from another lifetime. And one of my friends traveled down from Canton, Missouri, and this lady came over and told her she could sit through a channeling session. My body changed form, my voice changed, and for 5 hours straight, I had 6 different people in my body and talked to this lady. And my friend from Canton was totally amazed. But that is why I tell you, it is an honor, it is a privilege that someone's loved one would choose me as their method of talk, as their messenger to give love to somebody and support when they need it, or to just have a chit-chat as to what's going on. My dog, Nicholas, also talks to animals. The young man who's like a brother to me, Nicholas wouldn't leave him alone until I went and got healing stones for his dog, because his dog was hurting. One of my other girlfriends who lost her mother not that long ago, Nicholas always talked to her dog until her dog came into the spirit of another dog that she has now. And it's amazing. He now knows her dog doesn't come with her, so he doesn't look for her dog anymore. But her dog used to sit up on top of my couch, and Nick used to go up there and try to flirt with her. And he'd get upset when she wouldn't play. He also asked me to get treats, and he puts them underneath the table for the dogs that have passed that come with other clients. So my Bashan seems to be trying to feed the animals from the other side. So as I said, it's an honor, it's a privilege. If you'd like to experience it, please get an application in on the website for a session. I can talk to and have talked to people's relatives on Skype. The one young lady's did a guided meditation session where when she finished, her grandmother had moved her one chair out into the middle of the room. Another friend of mine's mother had moved her washing machine away from her wall to show her she was there. I've had a lot of interesting things happen. I've had a father who channeled to her daughter talking through me that when I went out of the room, he had on Aramis and I'm allergic to it. He went through me to hug her and I smelled like Aramis when I left the room. So like I said, I genuinely believe that it's a gift. It is something that I'm honored with. I had a gentleman whose sister had gone through cancer, and every time she went through cancer, she loved plants. He would buy her plants. The last time he bought her a silk plant and told her if she killed it, he got double his money back. Well, unfortunately, she was on the other side when I read for him. But fortunately for him, he knew she was okay because I told him she was running a hothouse on the other side and selling plants. And for me, that meant nothing. But she showed me that with each plant she sells, she offers double the money back. And when I said that to him, he started crying hysterically. He hugged me, he kissed me, and he was just overwhelmed. Because to him, that meant his sister was playing a joke on him by saying that to me. But I told him I saw on the other side that there was definitely rolls and rolls of plants in hothouses. And that she was the one planting those plants and feeding those plants, and they were growing successfully. So as I said, it's an honor, and I would be honored to help you. God keep you safe, and may God give you the signs that your relatives are there. It is very important that we remember that we are the soul too. This is just a body we're walking in. So when this body gives out, we'll be the soul watching over the ones that we love. God bless and take care.